Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Political Ray. We've got some breaking news for you today. Okay, look, I'm going to explain a little bit more about the tariffs because yesterday, I apologize. It was the first time I saw that video. I should have looked into it more, but I do have some more information regarding the tariffs. We've also got a story. Turning Point USA was at UC Davis, and they were attacked by an Antifa crowd. This is something that shouldn't happen, especially once you see the video, you'll understand these, especially the police officers who stood by and did nothing until these people took off with a bunch of crap and assaulted a couple people, and the police did nothing and then just watched them walk away. Officer Tatum was there. I like that guy. If you haven't seen him, go check him out. He's on TikTok and all that other stuff. So check him out. He's pretty good. He's on YouTube. The FBI has a record high applicants for the month of March, and that's pretty cool. But I think that has to do with the fact that President Trump is back in office, and you've got somebody like Kash Patel heading that department, and Dan Bongino being the deputy director. It's pretty cool. And we've got a pro-life commentator, content creator who was interviewing people on the street and was violently attacked. Stuff's getting out of hand. But anyway, and we got that. Plus, we've got Mayor Eric Adams, who announced that he will be running for mayor again, but as an independent. Interesting. I think the left has abandoned this guy, and simply because of the fact that he, in my opinion, he sided with President Trump on the immigration issue. So we'll get into that. A couple of the things. Let's see. We'll get going right here. Let me shrink myself down here, and we'll get into this. So this is from the Post Millennial, and this is Turning Point USA. Again, was attacked by Antifa. Now, I think Antifa should be classified as a domestic terrorist group because that's what they do. They're violent, physically violent, and every time they show up to something like this, it turns violent. I think they should be classified as a domestic terrorist group. That's how I feel about it. Anyway, here we go. Breaking: Antifa attacks TPUSA tabling event featuring Brandon Tatum, known as Officer Tatum, on the webs, at UC Davis. Gear stolen and students assaulted, while the police did nothing. Again, let's check this out. Here's a little picture from these people. Anyway, let's see. A Turning Point USA table event at UC Davis featuring former police officer and TPUSA contributor Brandon Tatum has been derailed after a group of violent protesters showed up and destroyed the setup. According to organizers, they stole the canopy, ripped down banners, smashed foam boards, and even tried to steal the iPad and laptop of the at TSPU students field rep. This is crazy. Our Prove Me Wrong tabling event with the Officer Tatum at UC Davis was completely destroyed by violent protesters. They stole the canopy, ripped down banners, smashed foam boards, and even tried to steal the iPad and laptop of a TSPUSA students field rep. This is crazy. Check out the video.
Watch out! Watch out! Hey, don't jump! Hey, Jackson, don't up!
Look at the cops. Look at the cops just standing there. That's Officer Tatum there in the hat, I think. Yeah, that's him.
Come on, please, get in there. Get in there.
Look at this guy. The guy's telling the cops, get in there. Look at them. They don't do nothing. This is crazy. Look, it's only after they have assaulted people, stolen items, they're walking off with their canopy. Only after all of that, the police officers slowly walk behind them as they're leaving. Are you kidding me? Officer Tatum, he got in there, tried to stop some of this, but the police officers did nothing. Look, anybody who knows me says, knows that I do back the blue to a certain point. When you've got officers like this, they did nothing. I have no respect for these officers. I mean, none. Do something. Do your job. Anyway, when they walk off, officers just following slowly, not doing anything. They still didn't do anything. They look, and then they stop and just watch them walk off with the canopy. Theft, destruction of property, assault. Take your pick. Do something. You got 3 of them. I mean, maybe look, that was a big crowd. They don't want to, make it any worse than it possibly could be. I understand that. But to do nothing, you got a whole tool belt, guys. Plus, you got Officer Tatum there. I'm sure he would have backed you up too. Honestly, I mean, it's just my personal opinion. I think you take 1 or 2 of these guys down, the rest are just going to scream and holler. We've seen it before. Anyway, let's keep going with this. Let's see. The group also said TPUSA students were shoved and had objects thrown at them while police did nothing. Yes, they did nothing. Anyway, only after the damage was done did law enforcement finally form a perimeter. This is the reality of free speech on campus. Yeah, you got crazy. Look, these campuses. I mean, I give credit, Charlie Kirk, Officer Tatum, going to these campuses. That's hostile territory. These college campuses, they're far left indoctrination centers. They spew the left-wing talking points. They warp these kids' minds. Trust me, I know. I went to college. I have a 4-year degree. I know what it's like on campus. You got professors, other students spewing this left-wing ideology in order to, keep the far left base intact. I've been there. I've done it. I've seen it. Thankfully, I didn't become part of that, but that's besides the point. Anyway, TPUSA founder Charlie Kirk responded online to the destruction, writing, "Breaking Antifa has vandalized a TPUSA tabling event featuring the Officer Tatum, destroying our camera gear, tent, event signage, flipping tables, and assaulting our staff. We are extremely lucky nobody was seriously injured at the melee." Yeah, they were. It's insane. While our people were under attack, police stood aside and did nothing. Our team is understandably shaken up, but they assure me they will not back down. Good. As I said before, I give credit to these guys. Going to these campuses, again, it's hostile territory. To go in there and deal with this kind of crowd, I mean, especially, Antifa shows up, something bad's going to happen. Anyway, let's see. There's the tweet from Charlie. Let's see. UC Davis is probably the most militant school in the country, with the largest Antifa presence. When I spoke there in March of 23, Antifa foot soldiers vandalized the school, smashed windows, and fought the police. What we have is a pattern with no signs of improvement. Yes. Look, again, I'll say it again. Why is Antifa not categorized as a domestic terrorism group? They should be. All they do is wreak havoc. They assault people. They steal crap. This is a prime example. Let's see. This has gone on long enough. Violent vigilantes like these only fester and grow when they're allowed to act with impunity like at UC Davis. Arrests need to be made. Racial anarchists will be resorting to more and more violence if they think doing so will stop conservatives from speaking. UC Davis must credibly show they are willing to protect the constitutional right to free speech and free assembly in a public campus. If they won't, the Trump administration should investigate their continued receipt of federal taxpayer dollars. I agree. If you can't get these people under control, if your campus can't take control of a situation like this, maybe there should be a federal investigation. UC Davis is a hotbed for Antifa violence and militarism. Time and time again, it's proven to be one of the most dangerous schools for conservatives. Until leadership puts its foot down, this type of behavior will continue until someone is seriously hurt or worse. I agree. Again, they're not saying nothing that everybody doesn't know. Let me show you this. This is another angle of the fight, as it were, and we'll take a look at this. Let's see. There we go. This is from the Turning Point USA team on X, and we'll take a look at this. Our Prove Me Wrong tabling event with the Officer Tatum at UC Davis was completely destroyed by violent protesters. They stole the canopy, ripped down banners, smashed foam boards, and even tried to steal the iPad. We read that. Only after the damage is done. Perimeter. Yep. Let's take a look at this.
Watch out.
Looks like the same one.
Hey,
There's Tatum.
Hey, Jackson, throw it up.
Yeah, that looks like the same video.
Please get in there. Get in there.
Pause it. There we go. I think that's the same video. But look, point being, the officers, again, they did nothing. They stood by, and it was only after they started to walk away with stolen property, they just slowly followed behind them as they left. It's ridiculous. And it's stuff like this that, makes me think this, plus the fact that we've got Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and President Trump, J.D. Vance, people like this in office that say we're getting rid of the woke stuff, we're getting rid of the DEI, the military's getting cleaned up as far as, trans people, all that stuff like that. It makes me think why this next story is prevalent. The fact that we have a record high of applicants to go into the FBI. Now, let's take a look at this. This is, let's see, who is this from? I think it was from, it's from Fox News, yeah. So, FBI flooded with record numbers of new agent applicants in Kash Patel's first month leading bureau. Now, as soon as he got in March as the director of the FBI, which is fantastic. He's one of the ones I was really excited for, him and Tulsi. I really like Tulsi. Didn't like her gun stance, but she has changed it since running for office, when she was running for presidency. But I liked her even back then. So the fact that she's in there, I like her. I like President Trump's picks thus far, with the exception of Pam Bondi. Everybody knows my thoughts on her. Spend less time on Fox News and do your job. She hasn't impressed me. Not one bit yet. Anyway, let's see. The FBI received a record number of new agent applicants in Director Kash Patel's first full month leading the Bureau, with a flood of law enforcement job seekers nearly doubling the month average since 2016. There were 5,577 new FBI applicants submitted in March, Fox News Digital has learned. That's a lot. The last time the Bureau saw a monthly figure even close to that number was April 16 with 5,283 applicants. That's a good number. Makes me hopeful. This is a thing with, with the Army had a record number of, people signing up after Pete Hegseth took over as the director of for that. Once Pete Hegseth took over, record number of people wanting to join the military. Why? It's same thing applies for the FBI as it does for the military. When you've got people in places of power who don't take no crap and say, look, we're not going to have this woke crap. The DEI is gone. You got people who actually want to defend this country, want to keep this country safe. You get those kind of people actually want to join the military and join the FBI and what have you, because those are the type of people you want. You want somebody in there. You want a gun-toting, America first, loving American to be in these jobs. That's it. Look, I mean, the military, a transgender person within the military, to my understanding, I'm former military as well. Never saw this crap when I was in, but I was in a while back. But to my understanding, these people who are transgenders, they're not even allowed to be on the front lines. So if you can't be on the front lines in the military, what are you doing? That's just my opinion. You can say otherwise, but look, if you can't fight, then what are you doing in the armed services? That's its sole purpose. Anyway, let's see. By comparison, the monthly average in 2023 was 2,797 applicants, with 3,383 applicants per month in 24, according to FBI data reviewed by Fox News Digital. Now, you can say 3,300. That's a pretty good number, and I would agree. But it's a pretty big bump from 3,300 to 5,500. That's a significant increase, in my opinion. You know, let's see. Director Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino have put major emphasis on restoring confidence in law enforcement, federal law enforcement, and boosting new agency recruiting. FBI spokesman Ban Williamson told Fox Digital on Wednesday, these record early returns certainly suggest that the FBI is heading in the right direction. I would agree with that. Again, when you've got the right people in the right positions, you can see a boost, and it's obviously coming to fruition. Since January, the FBI has seen more than 10,000 new agent applicants, according to the FBI data. In January, the first month of the Trump administration, and a month of Patel's nomination and confirmation hearing, the FBI saw 4,143 applicants to join the Bureau, the first time it had seen a month of new agent applicants in the 4,000 since August of 2020. That's big, too. I mean, that's, like I said, the right people in the right positions can make a big difference. Anyway, the record number of FBI job applicants in March shows that people are inspired by Kash Patel's commitment to restoring integrity and effectiveness at the Bureau. Patel advisor Eric Knight told Fox Digital on Wednesday Americans are putting their trust in his leadership to rebuild the FBI and keep our communities safe. Yes. Look, one of the things I was excited for with Kash Patel is the fact that he said even before he became a nominee for the position, he straight up said that, what he would do in the position, investigating corruption. He's made good decisions as far as I'm concerned thus far. And I liked what he said before. I like what he's doing now. And unlike Pam Bondi, who's on Fox News every time she gets the chance, every single night at this point, it seems like, the guy, I've seen him in 2 interviews since he became the director, tells me he's actually doing his job instead of trying to be on media sites and media, controlled stuff. I don't care. If I don't see the guy, makes me think he's working and is doing his job. You don't need to be on Fox News every night. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. And Knight told Fox Digital News this is just the beginning. Good. Kash is dedicating to creating a stronger, more trusted FBI that serves the American people the way that it was always meant to. During his Senate confirmation hearing in late January, Patel illustrated the erosion of trust at the Bureau, pointing to polling revealing that only 40% of Americans hold a favorable view of the FBI. That's true. I am one of the ones that did not trust them, especially under the Biden administration, where the DOJ was weaponized against its political opponents. Prime example was President Trump. They tried to take him down in court in several different, aspects of saying he was breaking the law. You've got the FBI going after civilians. What the parents, okay, parents at teachers' board meetings, school board meetings, parents coming out just to come out against what the schools were doing because they didn't want their kids involved on the type of stuff that was taking place within public schools. You had the FBI actively going after parents who disagreed with the way that the school boards were handling the education within the country. The FBI was going after these people for what? Weaponization of the Department of Justice was not an illusion. It was happening before our very eyes. But the left will say, don't believe your eyes and ears. Anyway, this must change, Patel testified. Public cooperation is vital for the Bureau to solve crimes, and its declining reputation is already affecting recruitment efforts. Yeah. And like I said, prime example, you got over 5,000 people now who have applied in the last month. That's big. The record number of new agent applications comes as Patel and Bongino put a heavy emphasis on new agent recruiting and restoring law enforcement morale by letting good cops be cops. Yeah. Look, if you handcuff these guys and don't let them do their jobs, of course they're not going to be good at it. If you let the good ones look, there's good cops, there's bad cops. This goes with any profession. Any profession. Congress, there's good senators, there's bad senators. There's good House, representatives, there's bad House representatives. It's with any profession. Any profession, just pick one. Waiters, servers, there's good ones, there's bad ones. Cooks, there's good ones, there's bad ones. Any profession will have this. Same thing goes for law enforcement. It's just, yeah, sometimes it sucks, but that's how it goes. Let's see. In March, Patel released an FBI recruitment video showing the director in the field with agents and highlighting footage from the hostage rescue team facility urging people to join the team. I haven't seen that video, but anyway. The video ends with a graphic showing of FBI SEAL and the words, "A renewed mission, a stronger future." Apply today at FBIjobs.gov. Patel and Bongino also have privately emphasized to their staff the importance of boosting local partner engagement, like local law enforcement, I would imagine, but that's important too. Anyway, take it. I mean, prime example is the President Trump assassination attempt. Local law enforcement, in my opinion, was to blame for that. That's just my opinion. How do you not cover a roof? I know there's some blame on the Secret Service as well, but how does this guy get in there with a gun, get onto the roof, nobody notices him until after he takes a shot? Now, there's all kinds of rumors, stuff flying around about that, but we're not going to get into that. I digress. Let's see. Our team will continue to recruit the best law enforcement personnel in the country, Williamson told Fox Digital. We hope to see even more brave men and women who want to be a part of what we're building. I hope so. I really do. I want to see good men and women within the agency. It needs to be built back up. Personally, I would think that, they should probably do a little bit more as far as like gutting it and then rebuilding it back up. That's just my opinion on it, but hey. Anyway, JD Vance, Vice President JD Vance, he was on he went on Fox and Friends yesterday, and look, I'm just going to show a couple of clips from this, but go watch it. It was pretty good, and I like JD Vance. I do. I really hope that he runs in 28. I hope that he would make a fantastic president. I think that he would further the America First MAGA movement, as it were. I think he would do a good job of furthering what, we wanted to accomplish. Because President Trump's going to do a lot. I don't doubt him. But look, midterms are coming up, and if we don't keep the House and the Senate, there's going to be all kinds of issues. There's going to be an impeachment. We need to keep the seats, the power seats. Okay, if we lose the House and the Senate, there's going to be President Trump's going to get impeached. He's not going to be able to get anything he wants to do done because he's going to be stifled at every turn by the House and the Senate. Midterms are coming up. It's just around the corner. Yeah, you can tell me, Ray, that's a year and a half away. Yeah, that's right around the corner. We got to keep our foot on the gas. Look, I want President Trump to come out and do all this stuff now. Get it done now. That way, look, because look, the tariffs, there's gonna be a little bit of hard times. There's gonna be some struggles that we go through because of these tariffs. Get it done now. I'm glad that he is, but other stuff has to happen too. Investigations into people in Congress. Now, there's a rumor flying around that the next step that Elon Musk and Doge, the next step that they're going to take is investigations into people who have a crap ton as far as net worth, but they have, their salaries are less than 200,000 a year. But I mean, Nancy Pelosi being a prime example of this. What's her net worth? It's in the millions. Well, let me just double check it just to make sure, and so I don't misquote it. Let's see. Bring it up here. Nancy Pelosi. Let's see. Net worth. In 24, I guess we'll do that. Da, 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 da. Open Secrets. That's Open Secrets is a good place to go if you're looking into this kind of stuff. Let's see. We got her top assets, real estate. Get off the screen. 46,500,000. Electronics, MFG and equipment, 15,791,000. Apple Inc., 15,375,000. She just is. I read just this morning actually that she put into another company that was at like $10 a stock. She bought $100,000 worth, and then like a week later, it jumped up to like $270 per stock. So she made a killing off of that. Nancy's a prime example of insider trading. These people are in places of power. They make the laws that can make or break these companies. So she buys this stock at $10 a stock. I forget the company. It was a computer company, I think, but she bought it at $10 a stock. A week later, the stock jumps to over $270 per stock. These people make the laws that will make or break these companies. She's a prime example of she got her millions from the stock market because they make the laws that will make or break these companies. They need to be looked into. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is just the prime example. I mean, you got Jasmine Crockett as well. Look, let me look her up too. Jasmine net worth. Let's see. That's who's Jasmine Pinedale? I don't even know who that is. Anyway, let's see. It's not bringing it up. I'm pretty sure she was like at 29 million. I might be wrong about that, but I know she had a big net worth too. And her salary is under 180, I think it was. 180,000 a year, and she's worth 29 million. And she hasn't been in office that long. Less than 10 years, I believe. So I think that these people should be investigated. Anyway, we'll take a look at the tariffs here. Because this is now yesterday I brought this up because the day before was Liberation Day, as President Trump said. And I was a little confused because I hadn't watched the video yet. So I was on here. It was the very last thing that I covered. But I said I would look into it, and I did. So we've got now the way this is set up. President Trump said that, look, we're getting taken advantage of, and we are. China at the top, 67. We're going to charge them 34%, which is, look, and when he says reciprocal tariff, reciprocal to me, that means we're going to charge them the same that they're charging us. But he's not even doing that. He's charging them a reciprocal discounted tariff. So even though they're charging the U.S. 67%, Trump's only going to charge them 34%. That's what this is. And like I said yesterday, I was a little confused about it, but I got it squared away. So United Kingdom, 10%. Now the base on this, the base for these tariffs is 10%. That's just the base. Most people there's a lot of countries out there that are just charging the base 10%. And so, rightfully so, President Trump said, look, they're just charging us the base. We're going to charge them the base. It's right. That's fair. Right? I think so. All right. It just makes the trading a little bit more fair. And the Democrats come out all the time and say they want fair trade. Well, there you go. President Trump is doing it. Look, you got a lot that are Dominican Republic, the UAE, Argentina, Ecuador. Well, not Ecuador. They're at 12, but Guatemala, Honduras. What else we got? Egypt, Saudi Arabia, El Salvador. We got Turkey, Colombia. A lot of these places are only charging the base, which is fine. So in turn, we just charge them the base. But look at it. Vietnam. Vietnam charges 90% on U.S. tariffs. 90%. President Trump said we're only going to charge them 46. Hey, look, I'm just going to say, if it's a good thing that I'm not the president, because if it was me, if they're charging us 90%, boom, 90%. That's what I'd charge them. President Trump's not doing that. He's only going to charge them 46%. Now, the way I understand this is the way he figured this up is the deficit. And then with each country, this is him trying to bring down the deficit. I'm fine with it. Again, it might be a little tough, rough sledding ahead a little bit, but if the overall outcome benefits the American taxpayers and we start living better lives, I'm okay with a little bit of hard times in the intermediary. I'm okay with it. As long as it doesn't last and we actually come out ahead. That's going to be the, but anyway. Let me write, because I got this up here. So the tariff structure has two main components. First, a baseline 10% tariff applies to imports from all countries, effective April 5th of 25. Second, higher reciprocal rates target specific nations with trade surpluses or significant barriers against U.S. goods, starting April 9th of 25. For example, China faces a 34% rate, which combined with prior 20% duties from February totals 54%. European unions get 20%, Vietnam's 46%, Japan 24%, and India 26%. These rates stem from White House formula that halves a calculated tariff barrier value, derived by dividing the U.S. trade deficit with a country by its exports to the U.S. Examples: China, $295 billion deficit, divided by $439 billion imports equals 67%, halved to 34%. The formula also factors in non-tariff barriers like currency manipulation or lax regulations, though exact calculations remain murky and contested. But there you go. I mean, it's I'm not the smartest person in the world. It's a little, whatever, but there you go. I think that the tariffs are a good thing. A lot of people disagree. But again, I'll say a little bit of hard times, as long as we come out ahead, I'll take the little bit of time that's going to be a little rough. I'm okay with it. Again, as long as we come out ahead, then we're okay. Anyway, especially we're $36 trillion in debt. We need to lower the deficit. But anyway, we'll take a look at JD Vance again. Like I said, he was on Fox and Friends, and we'll take a look at this. This is what he was saying about the tariffs on Fox and Friends. Take a look.
We do not ask permission from.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the wrong one. This is his illegal immigration stuffs. Let me see if I can find it. Ooh, let's see. Maybe it's this one. Let's see.
Yeah, we're going to cut your taxes. You're going to have more money in your pocket, and that's, of course.
Here, this is the one. Okay, he's talking here about cutting the taxes in order to help because as I said, when these tariffs, they're going to hurt a little bit, but in the long run, they're going to benefit the U.S. country, and we're going to live better lives because of it. Now, but short term, it's going to hurt a little bit. That's again why I said I want President Trump to do this now, because if he waits longer and we're still hurting come midterms, we're not going to win the midterms. There's a lot of people out there that say we're not going to win them anyway because people get relaxed. Look what happened last time when President Trump was in office. Midterms come around and we just got slaughtered. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. I really hope it doesn't. Hopefully midterms come around and we keep the seats, maybe even gain a couple. I really hope so. But hey, only time will tell. We'll have to see. But let's see what Vice President J.D. Vance says.
Of course, going to help you deal with the cost of inflation, but that's not about offsetting the tariffs. They work together. We want to penalize people for shipping our jobs overseas. We want to reward hardworking Americans. It's all part of the same policy. For 40 years, we've had an economy.
Look, that's the other thing that I probably should have remembered to say, but sometimes I forget stuff. I'm on here, I get live, and I start talking, and sometimes I'll forget a key fact note or something. But he makes the point there. That's why I put videos in here sometimes too. But anyway, he makes the point that, this is, oh my gosh. See, now I lost my train of thought again. It's a live show, everybody. Let me see. I'm sorry. Let's take a look at this.
That rewards people who ship American jobs over.
That's it. Yeah. The other keynote is the factories coming back to the U.S. Look at the car industry. We've already got Honda is going to, make the Civics specifically within the U.S. now. They're building a Honda plant in Indiana, and the Civics are going to be built here in America. There you go. It's bringing American manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. They shouldn't have never left. But when you've got incentives, cheap labor, cheap tariffs, and the cost ratio, you might as well move it overseas or into Mexico or what have you. But anyway, let's see. Now, I want to show you this. This is back in the 90s, 98, I believe it was. But it was Nancy Pelosi. You can tell. I mean, look at how that's crazy, the way she looks now versus then. But anyway, I digress. She's not the only one that has talked about this before. Bernie's guilty of it. Obama's guilty of it. But, before, Democrats used to always have the talking point of why are our manufacturing jobs going overseas? They used to talk about this a lot. And this is just a clip that's resurfaced, going all over the internet, especially on X or Twitter. This is her talking about the tariffs, and we need to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. They used to talk about this all the time, but now they don't. Because it's President Trump saying it, and they cannot stand him. They cannot go along with anything he says. They just can't do it. But anyway, this is Nancy Pelosi back in the 90s talking about this very thing. Take a look.
China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of us to endorse today.
Look at the 95 trade deficit, 34 billion. Significant, especially in 95. That's insane.
Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%. Whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal?
Nope,
on exports?
Sure isn't.
China only allows certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China.
The numbers speak for themselves. And this was a talking point for the Democrats for a very long time, not just in 96, when she's talking here. When did it change? Probably right about the time when President Trump started running for the first time. Because they can't stand the guy. He used to be a Democrat. All the Democrats loved this guy. Back in the 90s, the early 2000s, they loved this guy. It was only when he announced that he was going to be running for president as a Republican, that's when the hate started. Why? Because he was wealthy enough that he did not need billions of dollars in donations. They cannot control this guy, and that's why they hate him. He wants America to do well, and they want America to fail. That's it. They cannot stand this guy because he goes against everything they want. He wants America to succeed. They want America to fail. Prove me wrong. Anyway.
On the other hand, the U.S. allows China to flood our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%. And it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction.
Look at the jobs.
In terms of jobs, this is the biggest and cruelest hoax of all. Not only do we not have market access, not only do they have prohibitive tariffs, not only are our exports not let in very specifically, but China benefits with at least 10 million jobs from U.S.-China trade. The president, in his statement requesting this special waiver, said that China trade supports 170,000 jobs in the United States, 170,000 jobs, whereas our imports from China support 10 million jobs at least. Fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser. And one of the reasons that it is because well, first let me just make another point, and that is that our colleagues on the other side of this issue will say the trade with China, exports to China have increased 3 times in the last 10 years.
Somebody tell me this is an honest question. Somebody please tell me when it was that Nancy Pelosi flipped her opinion on tariffs and not, going along with everything that China wants. Tell me when she flipped on that. When did her opinion change? I want to know. Somebody can tell me. Comment below. Send me a message. I don't care. Let me know. When did she change her mind on this? This is 96. Was it right when President Trump started running? I don't know. Somebody can tell me.
They have. But they failed to mention that imports from China have increased 11 times, thereby leading to this huge trade deficit.
Now, this was 96. So I can only imagine how much more this has increased as far as the deficit, how many jobs they've taken away from us, what have you. Cheap labor in China. How much more has it increased? I'm sure a crap ton. China's benefiting. Now, President Trump has come there's that new thing where he changed it. Anything that was less than, I think it was $800. Companies like Temu and Shein, they really profit off of this. Anything coming into the States of like $800 or less, I think that's the number. I could be wrong, but I think that's it. $800 or less. They don't have to pay a tariff on that. Like I said, companies like Temu and Shein who sell that crap for super cheap, and people spend 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks at a time on these shopping sites. That's going to change. President Trump said that this is not going to happen anymore. It was kind of like a little loophole that China could get around, saying, hey, we're below the limit. We're selling these cheap little trinkets or what have you. I mean, they got like flammable pajamas for kids and whatnot on there. I don't know why you would. Anyway, I understand it's cheap and people are hurting and they buy cheap stuff. But again, the tariffs coming into play, bringing back American manufacturing jobs, bringing back American jobs so that we buy American, it incentivizes companies to make within the United States. And then you have a more competitive market as far as clothing and toys and everything else, what have you. I mean, it makes sense to me. But anyway, Pelosi's not the only one who thought tariffs were a good thing. She's not the only one who said, we need to keep a better eye on China. She's not the only one. When did the Democrats flip their script and say that China was our friend and we don't have to worry about them and blah, 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 blah? Anyway, Bernie Sanders, he said it too. Take a look. He was for tariffs as well. We'll take a look at this.
What they have said is that we need to not worry about manufacturing in America because what we should establish is a policy of unfettered free trade. We don't need tariffs. What we need is to allow corporate America the freedom to throw American workers out on the street. People who are making 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour, health care, pensions, throw them out on the street because somehow, Madam President, we are going to create wealth in America and good paying jobs in America as we shut down plants. We move to China, corporations there pay workers 20, 30 cents an hour, and we bring the product back into this country. And anyone who goes shopping in a mall knows how difficult it is today to find the product made in America. But that is the philosophy. And I have to say in that regard, the champion, and he is honest on this one. Senator McCain has been criticized recently for not being the most honest candidate we have seen in terms of his ads and so forth. He has been honest on this one. He is the lead advocate of unfettered free trade. And that's an also important part of this right-wing ideology, that it is good for America that corporations can go to China and bring products back into this country.
Yeah. Again, when did they flip their script? Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and move on now to this is a pro-life commentator, content creator, what have you, who was physically attacked. This kind of stuff shouldn't be happening. I understand a lot of people, and I mean, I seen this on X, and there's a lot of crazy comments talking about this lady deserved it, and I think that's disgusting. Nobody deserves this. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Anyway, nobody should be attacked like this. It's the same thing with Officer Tatum at the UC Davis. These kind of things should not happen. I think that they need to catch this girl and prosecute her. Full extent of the law. Anyway, take a look at this. This is crazy. We'll take a look at this. This is her being attacked. Again, it's a pro-life content creator. She's out there talking to people on the streets about it. Maybe she should have better protection. There's some people out there saying that she should have protected herself better. No, she should have just never had this happen. But anyway, I digress. Take a look at this. This is
don't understand the magnitude of having a child. Well, I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused. That's not the point. What I'm saying. Don't understand.
Look, I understand that people get emotional about this kind of stuff. There's people on both sides that have different perspectives, what have you. I myself, I'm pro-life. Everybody knows this. If you didn't, you do now. But this, just because you're upset, doesn't give you the right to just physically assault somebody just out of the blue like this. Look, you're engaging on the conversation. You're in an open street. Okay, you can walk away whenever you want to. If you don't like what's being said, maybe, yeah, okay, you might look a little bad, but you can walk away from the conversation. It's as simple as that. If you don't like where the conversation is going, walk away. You don't have to physically assault somebody just because you're emotional. You know why they do this? Because the left has not had to deal with the consequences of its actions for a very long time at this point. I have said it a million times at this point. Until there are consequences to actions, they will keep doing this crap. Now, that being said, there is light at the end of the tunnel as far as this goes, because there are actually consequences being taken place. Prime example being the Tesla takedown or what have you. People vandalizing the cars. The guy, in Las Vegas and the guy in Colorado, they have been arrested for firebombing and tearing up the dealerships. There is consequences to people's actions, and I'm glad that it's actually happening and that people are seeing it. I see at least 2 or 3 videos on X every single day of a new vandalism on someone's Tesla vehicle. Just because they're driving a Tesla, they get keyed or they get swastikas spray painted on the car or what have you. It's disgusting behavior, consequences to actions. That's it. If there's consequences, these people are going to chill out with this kind of crap. And it's been proven. I mean, I think because I used to see a bunch of stuff every time I opened X, and there was 6 or 7 stories right off the bat about vandalism and what have you. Now, people are seeing that there's consequences to their actions. So they're kind of chilling out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people have just keyed up enough and they just don't care anymore because people do get bored quickly and easily. Maybe that's the case. I don't think so, but that's what me thinks. Now, this is I want to take a look at this one real quick. This is her driving around in the back of the police car looking for this person. She's saying, trying to describe the person to the officer driving around. I hope they find this person. I hope she gets charged, and I hope that Savannah. This is Savannah Craven is her name, by the way. I probably didn't mention it yet, but Savannah Craven is her name. I hope she's okay. I hope she can get over this, and I hope she continues to do content creation. I haven't personally seen any of her stuff, but I wish her the best, and I hope she keeps going with her content creation because nobody should have to deal with this. But anyway, I'll take a look at this. This is just a quick video of her, like I said, driving around the back of the squad car, talking to the officer, trying to find the person that assaulted her.
Yeah,
she's all bloodied up.
Woman, missed it.
Look to the right.
No, she's not them.
She's big. She's tall.
And she had worn a light brown coat.
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm looking. Just go.
3-2 body light, dog. I'm rolling 84 with the post, the body light post.
Yes. Anyway. Excuse me. Like I said, I hope they find the person. Nobody should have to deal with this. I don't care who you are. Left, right, center. You shouldn't have to be if you're a left-wing commentator, content creator, what have you. If you're out there making content as a left-winger, talking to conservatives, right-wing people, you shouldn't be attacked. You shouldn't. It goes for anybody. This is assault, and that person needs to be held accountable. Anyway, we'll go ahead and transition here to the last story that I've got. Mayor Eric Adams of New York says that he is going to be running as an independent. Why? My opinion, because he's been ousted by the Democrat Party. That's it. They don't. He sided with President Trump on the immigration policies because New York was getting overrun by illegal aliens. So he sided with President Trump on this issue, just that one issue. Everything else was nope. But it was just that one issue. Why? Why would they oust this guy just for siding with President Trump on one issue? Because you can't agree with Trump on anything. You can't. This is a prime example of you side with Trump and you're ousted. Same thing with Elon. That's why my opinion is nobody wants to come out against these vandalisms, these attacks on dealerships. There's physical attacks upon people who just simply own a Tesla now at this point. People always said it's going to get worse. People are going to get assaulted. Yeah, it's already there. But you cannot go against the Democrat mainstream propaganda, agenda, narrative, what have you. Because if you do, you're ousted. Eric Adams, prime example. Anyway, we'll take a look at this really quick here because I do got to get going to work. I still have a full-time job. But anyway, Eric Adams eyes independent New York City mayoral run as campaign stalls, support falls. He owes a lot of money, says. This is from, I think this is New York Post. Yeah, New York Post. So,
introducing the
this stupid stuff. Anyway, he's gone from swagger to stagger. Embattled Mayor Eric Adams is mulling running as an independent if he loses the upcoming Democratic primary. And that's even if he decides to make a re-election bid as he faces increasingly hopeless electoral prospects. the Post has learned. Now, there's, as far as I understand it, there's going to be, oh crap, what's his name? He's in here somewhere. Where's he at? There he is. Oh, Andrew Cuomo apparently is going to be running. I see this guy as the Democratic nominee. It's not going to be Mary Adams. Again, as like I said, he's gone against the mainstream agenda, the narrative, what have you. He's being ousted by the Democrat Party. Andrew Cuomo's probably going to win the mayoral. The next New York mayor is probably going to be Andrew Cuomo. I'm going to say it right here, right now. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I will be. It's New York. Cuomo's going to be the next mayor. Like it or hate it, that's just how it's going to be. They talk about, him. I guess Adams owes a lot of money, and let's see. He could have cited some statute. A judge rubber stamped it. One source said he owes a lot of money. Apparently, don't know. I don't know. Eric Adams for mayor. That's when he was running 21. Look, this guy's a former police officer for New York City. He won as the Democrat. I don't. But like I'm just gonna stress it one more time. The guy went against the narrative, and since he did that, the Democrats they ousted him. He's not part of their team anymore, just for siding on President Trump on one issue, the immigration. And that's only because New York got overrun with illegals. And he said, we got to do something about it. That was it. That was all that happened. So anyway, goodness gracious me. Anyway, so that's all I got for now. Let's go ahead and get back here. So, if you like what you saw, and I appreciate you being here, I really do. If you like what you saw, you can follow me here on Rumble. You can follow me on X at ThePoliticalRay. And you can go to YouTube and subscribe to me if you want to. I don't know why you would go to YouTube. Rumble's taking over the space. Rumble's got the live lineup. I'm not a part of that, but I live stream here every morning, Monday through Friday at 7:30 Eastern, right ahead of the lineup. So if you're looking for something to listen to, just before that, hey, give me a shot. Appreciate you being here again. And I hope everybody has a great day. It's Friday. Enjoy the weekend. I will be back on Monday. I'll see y'all then, and God bless.